Hello! I quickly wanna mention that I recently recorded some green screen memes for a competition held on our Discord. The rules are simple. Make a meme using the green screen templates, post it on our Discord in the green screen meme channel, and before the 24th or the 23rd I will pick the winners. The prize is a green Battlecast Jace, although we only have codes for EU West and EU Northeast. So if you are from other regions, just know that it will be for fun. We will review the memes live on stream. But now, back to the video. I have to admit, I already had a video about Vladimir ready to go, but 2 days ago Riot revealed the gameplay trailer for the Ruined King, together with a separate post that reveals a lot of new information. Now at first, I wasn't sure if I wanted to make a video on this, because gameplay is supposed to be focusing on gameplay. However, given the fact that the Ruined King game is focusing on lore, we can actually get a lot out of this. So without further ado, before we break the trailer apart, let's quickly summarize what we got from the post. First of all, I quickly have to mention that unfortunately the game was delayed. This makes sense with everything that's happening in the world. And honestly, since this is the first game to come out of Riot Forge, I will happily let them take as much time as they want. Anyway, at the beginning of the post it was mentioned that we will be exploring the twisting streets of Bilgewater and uncovering the mysterious dungeons of the Shadow Isles. Now, although Buhuru specifically is not mentioned here, as you'll see from the screenshots and in the video, I am pretty sure we will be exploring the Buhuru Isles of Bilgewater as well. It makes sense because Ilawi is a big part of the story. And in fact, from the 2 screenshots, if you have a look at all the stone serpent heads at the background, and even the stony shell of the spiders, this definitely fits the Buhuru Isles, not the Shadow Isles as many may think. Later, the post mentioned that players will be able to interact with the environment by chatting with NPCs or fighting enemies. This is common for RPGs. However, each champion will also have 2 dungeon skills, which they will be able to use in combat or to explore dungeons. And these abilities will appear in the trailer a lot, so remember that. And Riot mentioned that some puzzles will need specific champions to be solved. As an example, we learned that Ari's orbs will reveal stealthed enemies, and Braum will be able to break through walls. Then we learned that we will be able to level the champions up, give them the same stats we can find in League, including stuff like haste or even armor and magic penetration. And, most importantly, we will be able to equip them with a variety of weapons. Examples given are swords, pistols or Warmook's armor. And this is important. Remember that this game is rooted around the lore. And if I remember it correctly, Warmook's armor was teased to be made by the Yordles. It's not 100% canon, this was only confirmed on Twitter, but still, this might be teasing that at some point in the game, we will meet some kind of a Yordle who will give us this armor. Or perhaps someone stole this armor from the Yordles, and we will be getting it from them. Now of course we know that this game is loosely based around Battle Chasers by Airship Syndicate. Those are the developers who made it, and you can see how the art style matches perfectly. And in that game, even though you equipped your characters with armor, that armor did not change their appearance. It was purely for RPG stats. However, Riot confirmed that weapons will show their different appearances both in and outside of combat. And here I want to mention, pay attention to Braum's shield in the trailer. We will talk about that. And lastly, Riot gave us a list of activities we can do in the game for extra loot and lore. There will be a bounty board for mini-bosses. You will be able to go fishing, which will be tied to cooking. You can also go and hunt for specific animals. There will be side quests for weapons and lore. Also a battle arena for big prizes. And lastly, there will be a lot of lore collectibles. And you know, we need to 100% that. But that's pretty much the most important info we got from the post. So now, let's go through the trailer. And here I am going to hope that this trailer is using the game's soundtrack. Hopefully it will not be licensed and copyright will not be an issue.
Cutthroats, spirits, monsters.
At the beginning we have a couple of shots of different characters in Bilgewater. Here I need to point out that all of these are actually cutscenes from the game. We know this because the artist working on these confirmed this on Twitter. In the first shot there is of course Bilgewater in the background and there is a person carrying something over his shoulder. Now, since this person's left arm seems to be much bulkier and almost mechanical, I wonder if this is actually Gangplank. Remember, everyone in Bilgewater thinks that he is dead, even though he is not. And he is likely just waiting for the right opportunity to take Bilgewater back. And honestly, once Miss Fortune leaves for the Shadow Isles together with her group, I think that's when Gangplank will come back. Then we can see a captain paying the tithe to the bearded lady, which of course every captain has to do before they sail out, or Nautilus will come out from the depths and sink your ship. And on the left side here we can see the same man we saw at the beginning. He is carrying something over his shoulder, but here his arm is a lot smaller, so perhaps it is not Gangplank. And then of course there are a couple of shots from the Harrowing, which is a yearly event during which the black mist of the Shadow Isles spreads to Bilgewater. And then there is a really cool creepy design for Thresh. Lastly, we got this shot of a ship, but interestingly this is going to be the main ship of our characters. As it zooms in, we can see that all of our characters are there. And once again, as we have all of these different shots, remember that these are actually cutscenes. We will likely see these in the game. There is also this shot where Pike cut his own hand. And I wonder if this is some kind of his own tithe, because normally you would toss a coin overboard. As far as we know, there is no blood tithe. So this could be some kind of ritual which Pike does to calm the monsters down. Because remember that Pike is somehow tied to all of those monsters. He got swallowed by one and that's how he turned into whatever he is now. And then we got the first shot of actual in-engine gameplay. And as I mentioned, based on the structures around, I do believe that this may not be on the Shadow Isles, but it may be around the Buhuru. And this quick misfortune animation will likely be what we see in combat. I assume this is what plays out when you use Miss Fortune's ultimate ability. And I quickly wanna mention how cool this actually looks. Good job Airship Syndicate on the graphics. I love this art style. But let's quickly go back to what we just saw. As we see our characters walking through the city, notice that Braum doesn't have his shield. He is using some kind of a sign or a door instead. And this could be for two different reasons. Either this is what Riot was talking about with the weapons. When you equip your champions with weapons, they will change appearance in the game. So maybe here, at the very beginning of the game, Braum is using some kind of trashy shield. And this might be tied to the second reason why he doesn't have his own shield. Maybe that's the reason why he is here. Maybe Braum lost his shield and that's how he got to Bilgewater. Because out of all the other champions, Braum is the only one where I can't really imagine how he got here. So maybe his missing shield is the key. But here's the thing. In this scene, when Miss Fortune introduces everyone to her ship, when Braum replies, he does have his own shield. Which is strange, because now I don't know if lore-wise Braum is supposed to have his own shield all the time, or if this is because they didn't want to draw all the other shields for him to use them in the animations. So maybe he just has his shield here, because that's the simplest way to represent him. So in reality, we are not actually sure whether Braum does or doesn't have his own shield. Then we got a quick shot of Illaoi, who is probably showcasing one of her dungeon skills. She will likely use the Eye of the God, which is the artifact she carries around, to manipulate different aspects linked to the magic of Nagake Boros. For example, here she is lining up lights to open a vault. And then when we get to Illaoi's combat, we get these weird creatures. The people at the front are probably serpent priests, but the creature behind them is new. It makes sense why it looks like a super naga, because we are still around the Buhuru, you can tell based on the background. So maybe this creature is one of the reasons why serpents are such a big deal here. And here we get a closer shot of Braum's shield. You can see that even during their ultimate animation, the weapons still change. And in all the other shots you can also see him carry the wooden door. So I really do believe that the shield is going to be a lore point in his storyline. And as we look at the other pirates shown here, I think that these are just your ordinary enemy pirates. I don't think they are part of Gangplank's crew, because they don't have the jagged tattoos shown in Legends of Runeterra. Although I might be wrong, because the color theme still fits Gangplank's crew. They are using that turquoise blue-green theme. And of course, then there is Pike. And here we are finally on the Shadow Isles. And as you can see, one of his dungeoning skills is going to be stealth. And then we have a nice shot of some combat on the Shadow Isles, which then transitions into Yasuo. And Yasuo then shows us the bounty board, which Riot talked about in the post. And for an example, we even get some missions. There is a mission to kill Malik, who's been causing problems on the Grey Harbor. In fact, he has reunited the Jagged Hooks. And I might be misremembering this, but I believe that Jagged Hooks are one of the supporters of Gangplank. I do believe that there might be a connection between them and the Jagged crew, so this might be teasing the return of Gangplank. Also, as you can see, there is a shield as a reward, which looks like a Solari shield. This is likely a placeholder, but Bilgewater is the home to Black Market. Anything can be sold here, so maybe we will be able to equip Brom with the Solari shield. And the other mission is for Giffin, the Hextech Thief. Of course, based on the picture, it is a Yordle. And apparently he's been raiding workshops. That's why there is a bounty on him. And as a reward, we get Greater Tome of Knowledge. Then we get a showcase of Yasuo's dungeon ability, which is going to be a dash. And he will also be likely able to disorient people with his wind. And finally, we have Ari. And here, once again, it looks like the Buhuru Isles. But when she initiates combat here, the background switches to the Blessed Isles. So we will also be likely visiting an uncorrupted part of the Shadow Isles. And as you can see here, there is some kind of a corrupted guardian of this place. Because although this creature is using the Blessed Isles aesthetics, within it you can still see the Black Mist. And in the next shot we can also see that Yasuo's wind will also be shown for some other puzzles. And once again, Illaoi will be dealing with some soul stuff. And finally, at the end of the trailer, we also got the UI. And there is an interesting thing to point out. The champions will have a lot more abilities than just the 4 we have in the game. They will have some unique stuff. For example, here you can see that Yasuo will also support his allies by playing his flute.
Can't help but wonder what brought them together.
And then the announcer mocks us by telling us that even he wonders what brought these champions together. Because, you know, we still don't know. There needs to be a reason why all of them want to defeat the Ruined King. And then we get the last 3 important shots. We have Thresh here, which might be actually showing the explosion of the Shadow Isles. We have Maokai here, so we know that Maokai will also appear in the game. And I love his design here. He is way bushier and you can also see roots coming out of him. Great redesign. And then we get this last shot of the Ruined King. Now there is one last thing I need to mention here. Because the game was delayed, if the theories are right and we are also getting the Ruined King as a champion, I do believe that that champion will be delayed too. I wouldn't mind if we got the Ruined King as a champion before the Ruined King game, but releasing them together will be key. So I wonder if Riot has a plan on how to set up the new champions now. From the top of my head, I can't remember what was the schedule for the champions. I think the new romantic jungler, which is supposed to be the Ruined King, was supposed to be the first champion of 2020. That's why it fit the release of the Ruined King game so well. But now, if they are going to delay that champion, they need to fit in something else instead of him. If they don't have anything, however, they can still replace him by another rework. So now, we may get 2 champion reworks in a row before we get to the Ruined King. That's all just a theory. But we know that Mundo is in work, and Riot confirmed that they are working on another unannounced rework as well. There is the theory that it might be Udyr, but hey, I'll take anything. But that's it for all the new info about the Ruined King. Next, I will try to finally release a video about Vladimir, but Riot gave us another story for Lissandra. And surprisingly, Lissandra has been getting a lot of stories, and all of them always give the watchers even more cool lore. With that said, Christmas is coming, and I still wanna make 2 special videos, both of which you will really enjoy, and one of which will thread the line of being inappropriate on YouTube.